dreadful scream filled the night, and it sounded like something was thrashing around. His mother got up and they both went over to the window, where they saw the unnatural coyote-like creature walking toward the front door with a limp.
Faces up, a dark figure, but it doesn't have the form of a man. It is like a large animal walking on 2 feet.
When the headlights hit it, the beast turned its head and looked at the truck bearing down on it. The OP describes the face as looking like the mixture of a bear and a man.
Oh, hell no to that, Skinwalkers. This Navajo cryptid we've come to know and fear. Hey everyone, welcome back to another Creepy Cryptid History. Today, we're going to be taking a look at 3 real and ominous encounters with skinwalkers on Navajo land. Don't forget to hit that like button, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I do upload these videos very often. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and take a walk into the forest. Okay guys, so we're actually on YouTube today and we're going to be looking at some real authentic skinwalker stories from where they actually originate from, the Navajo Nation. And I feel like the word skinwalker is just thrown around way too much for cryptids that are not really skinwalkers. So we're going to actually listen to some true Navajo based stories. Okay, I'm going to be sharing a couple from the Wolf Who Cried Cryptid here on YouTube. Okay, always put the links in the description so you can go give them a like, share, all that good stuff, and listen to the whole thing. There's actually 4 on this video that we're about to listen to, but we're only going to be listening to 2 of these stories. Okay, so make sure you go give them a like. All right, let's begin.
The Skinwalker is a part of the Navajo folklore, and it is amazing how they can immediately spot one and or know how to deal with one during an encounter. These 4 stories demonstrate just that, and it's a good thing they do know how to deal with one, because these encounters could have gone terribly wrong if they didn't. Alright, let's get to the first story. The first story of this episode takes place near Window Rock, Arizona. Window Rock is located in Apache County in northeastern Arizona, just over the New Mexico state line. It serves as the seat of government and capital of the Navajo Nation, and has a population of approximately 2,500 people according to the 2020 census. Its main attraction is the natural window formation of sandstone carved out by wind erosion. Window Rock is also home to the Navajo Nation Museum, the Navajo Nation Zoological and Botanical Park, and the Navajo Nation Code Talkers World War II Memorial. The original poster, or OP, was on a delivery with his father, who owns and operates a delivery service out of Farmington, New Mexico. It's a small business that delivers smaller packages to the middle of nowhere that are too much of a hassle for a larger delivery company, according to the OP. He was 6 or 7 at the time of the events. His father had gotten a call for the delivery to the reservation at Window Rock, which is about 2 hours from Farmington. He was with his friend and his friend's girlfriend at the time. His father's friend, who is Navajo, has family in Window Rock he hasn't seen in a long time, so the OP's father suggested they all head out there together. He will bring his son, the OP, and while the friend and his girlfriend go see family, he will take his son to Window Rock. They were forced to take separate trucks due to the size of the freight his father was hauling, so the friend and his girlfriend followed the OP and his father. They used walkie-talkies to communicate during the trip. The delivery and his visit to Window Rock were uneventful, but what the OP says he will remember for the rest of his life was what happened on the way home. While they were riding down the old highway, somewhere between Window Rock and Gallup, New Mexico, they were riding past sandstone cliffs on the left and a huge field to the right, separated from the road by a barbed wire fence. They were taking it a bit slower because it had rained earlier in the day, leaving the road slick. They drove over a hill, and at the bottom they saw what looked like a very big dog sitting in the middle of the road. The OP's father radioed to his friend who was following behind them and asked if he saw the huge dog. His friend immediately started yelling back over the radio, "That is not a dog. Speed up right now and hit it." The OP describes him as sounding hysterical. He continued to scream, "Hit it. You have to hit it. Please. Please hit that effing thing right now." After hearing his friend plead with him, the OP's father sped his truck up. When they got closer, they got a better look at the thing in the road. It was covered in brown fur that was wiry and matted down and looked as if it had dried blood all over it. It was facing the cliffs, but when the headlights hit it, the beast turned its head and looked at the truck bearing down on it. The OP describes the face as looking like the mixture of a bear and a man. It had a twisted, distorted look on its face as if it was in pain. Being this close, the OP and his father realized how massive this thing really is. It was on its haunches, but its shoulders were just about even with the hood of the truck. Just as they were about to hit it, the creature lets out a gargled scream before leaping toward the field and landing on the other side of the barbed wire fence. It leaps again and disappears from sight. His father's friend came back on the radio and told them they need to keep driving and they needed to get out of there. He kept urging the OP's father to drive faster, repeating it over and over. By the time they reached the outskirts of Gallup, New Mexico, they were flying down the highway. They got pulled over, so his father's friend pulled over too. The cop, who was also Navajo, as trained, is wary of this and asked his friend why he also pulled over. He tells the officer that they just saw a skinwalker and has been following them. The officer is visibly shaken up by this, mutters something about a warning, hurries back to his car and takes off. The OP's father and friend did the same. Nothing else happened that night, but his father's friend would not let them leave his home when they returned without taking a Navajo totem meant to keep skinwalkers away. This is the region of the US where the majority of the skinwalker encounters are documented, and it seems that no one out there, especially the Navajo, are messing around when it comes to these things. The friend immediately told the OP's father to hit the perceived dog, and the officer wasted no time getting out of there when he found out what they were running from. From what I've read and heard, most Navajo won't even acknowledge or talk about skinwalkers for fear of attracting them.
It seems legit. It seems like all these sightings, they always more than anything see a dog-shaped creature. So super interesting. Let me know what you think in the comments. Okay guys, so this next one is actually from the same video like I said before, and this one's called Skinwalker Outside of Trailer on the Reservation. So let's give it a watch.
The final story of this episode comes from a poster who is Navajo, but grew up away from the Navajo Nation and has always been skeptical about skinwalkers, even though his mother told him a story of how she saw one when she lived with his grandparents back in the 80s. She described seeing a big black dog with dirty fur, a twisted noodle-like front leg, and unnatural burnt orange eyes that glowed softly, standing under the streetlight at the end of their driveway. The original poster doubted his mother's story, but never voiced his opinion. Well, his doubts would soon be put to rest when he visited his grandparents, who lived in Shiprock, New Mexico. Shiprock is located in San Juan County, which makes up the upper northwest corner of the state. The county borders Colorado to the north, Arizona to its west, and its northwestern tip meets the southwestern tip of Utah. Shiprock is located in the northwestern part of the county, and as of the 2020 census has a population of 7,718 people. It is aptly named after the nearby Shiprock rock formation. The OP and his family had gone to the Navajo Nation Fair and walked to his grandparents' home at approximately 9 p.m., where they sat up until about 2 a.m. catching up. During this time, he blurted out the question, "Are skinwalkers real?" His grandmother, disturbed by the question, semi-yelled at him that he should not speak about such things. Shortly thereafter, his grandparents went to bed, and after his mother scolded him for asking that question, his aunt told him that they are real all right, then told him about the screaming outside her home in Farmington, New Mexico, just a few nights prior. He let the subject drop, and everyone went to bed. Not long after, the OP was the only one awake, lying in his bed thinking about skinwalkers, and if he would encounter one while on the reservation. According to him, it is taboo just thinking about them, as that can supposedly attract them, just as speaking about them also can. It was a nice night, so they were sleeping with the windows open. Each window had a screen to keep the bugs from getting in. He was about to doze off when he began hearing movement outside the trailer. He got up and slowly made his way to the kitchen window. All the inside lights were off, and the only light came from the front porch light. This gave him a sense of security, as hopefully if anything was outside, it wouldn't be able to see him peeking out. He hesitated, but his curiosity got the best of him, and he looked out the window. All he could see was the dirt on the ground lit by the front porch light, the cars, and 2 metal trash cans standing by the road. He dismissed the sound as a stray cat or something and turned to go back to bed when a loud, distorted scream broke the silence. The scream was very close. Fear washed over him as he turned and looked back out the window to see a figure resembling a coyote staring at the window from behind the cars. It stood just out of the light's reach. He described it as looking wrong and giving off an evil vibe. It had gray fur that was disheveled and soft glowing red-orange eyes. He ran back to the bedroom as a putrid stench that smelled like rotting meat hit his nose. He immediately woke up his mother, who was annoyed due to the late hour and was trying to tell her something was outside. She told him it was probably just a stray animal, as there were a lot of stray animals on the reservation. Finally, the OP screamed at her that there was some Blair Witch stuff happening outside, and this got her attention. That's about the time the noises started back up outside. Another dreadful scream filled the night, and it sounded like something was thrashing around. His mother got up and they both went over to the window, where they saw the unnatural coyote-like creature walking toward the front door with a limp while dragging its back leg. It started scratching on the door while making a weird muffled moaning sound. His mother went and woke up his father, and they began yelling in Navajo at the creature, saying it was not welcome there and to go away. It didn't take long for everyone in the trailer to wake up and come down the hall. The OP's mother turned to look at them and could only say Skinwalker while pointing at the front door. Meanwhile, the noises continued outside. Luckily, his grandfather knew exactly what to do. He retrieved his handgun and a bag of ashes. He used the ashes to coat a few bullets before loading them into the gun. With the now loaded firearm, he went straight to the front door while yelling in Navajo. The OP says that whatever his grandfather was saying was way too fast for him to understand. When he reached the front door, he flung it open and fired at the creature twice. Unfortunately, though, the beast managed to escape before his grandfather could get it. His grandfather said, "That's the fastest one I've ever seen," before he came back inside. The OP, his parents, and his aunt were freaking out, worried that they were now targeted because it saw them and that it might come back the next night. His grandparents eventually calmed everyone down and they went to bed. The next morning, his grandparents called one of their neighbors and told them what happened. Apparently, he was a medicine man who used to conduct Navajo healing ceremonies to cure sickness. He came over and blessed each family member before blessing the grounds outside. I can't even begin to imagine how terrifying that experience must have been.
Right?
Luckily, his grandfather knew exactly what to do. This isn't the first story I've heard where ash-coated bullets are used to fend off skinwalkers. The Navajo may not talk about skinwalkers, but they sure do know how to deal with one when facing them. I guess you would have to know if you lived on the reservation.
Exactly.
And that's going to do it for this.
Y'all, terrifying story. What would you do if you came in contact with a skinwalker? And that's the first time I actually ever heard about them covering the bullet in ashes. Like, I've never heard that until today. But what about you? I wonder what that's all about. If you know, let me know in the comments. Okay, guys, so our last Skinwalker story is actually by Haunted Eden, and it's from 40 Cryptid and Skinwalker horror stories. Scary stories to fall asleep to. And so make sure you go give them a like, a subscribe, all that good stuff. Links are always down in the description box below. We're only going to listen to one of these, of course. And I'm pretty sure that this guy telling the story is Navajo. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he is. So let's go ahead and give it a listen.
This is a real experience that happened to me and my family. To give some background, we are Navajo, and I was about 10 years old at the time of this encounter. My family is living with my grandparents in Arizona. It is me, my mom, dad, and a little brother. On this one night, we get a knock on our door. It is around 8 p.m., and it happens to be the local sheriff. He says that my father's mom and his brother, my uncle, were in a bad car accident. My mom and dad run out the door and leave me and my little brother with my other grandma. My grandfather is away in Kingman. My little brother and I have trouble falling asleep, so my grandma lights a lamp and just sits there knitting and singing songs in Navajo. When all of a sudden, we hear the hounds start making noises, and in the distance, far away, what sounds like a flute being played. At the time, I remember thinking nothing of it and resumed playing with my brother. I would say it's around 10:30 p.m. by that time. As we're sitting there playing, the noises sound like they are getting closer. The hounds outside are barking loud and starting to sound more urgent. My grandma doesn't seem to be bothered by any of these noises, but my little brother and I are pretty shaken up. The hounds keep at it pretty steady for a good hour or so, and then all of a sudden stop. A little after midnight, as my brother and I are asleep, there is a knock on the front door. I wake up thinking it is my parents, so I jump up and run to the door. But just before I reach it, my grandma yells for me to get away. I freeze in my tracks. She never raises her voice without a reason. She then yells at the door in Navajo, "Who's there?" But there is no answer. She yells again, and this time, the knock on the door is louder and more impatient. My grandma sits back down on her chair and says firmly, but in a calm tone, "Go away. We don't want you here. Leave us alone." Whoever it is starts to pound on the door. I run back to my grandmother, and by this time, my little brother is up too. All of a sudden, the hounds start to bark again, louder than ever. The knocking stops, and it is replaced by a thumping noise upon the roof, as if someone or something is walking across the top of the house. Then there is a loud thump, as if something heavy hits the porch. There, outside the window, which is covered by a thin white curtain, rises up a dark figure. But it doesn't have the form of a man. It is like a large animal walking on 2 feet. It starts to push on the window pane. I think for sure it is going to break, but it stops and moves away. Seconds later, the doorknob to the front door is turning back and forth, the thing outside pushing and pulling, as if trying to open the door by force. My little brother and I are crying, but my grandmother, as calm as ever, starts singing and praying in Navajo. Everything stops and goes silent. Moments later, light pours through the front windows of the house, and we hear a car come up the drive. This time, it is my parents. Many years later, when I was older, my other grandmother told me that a skinwalker had a score to settle with my family and had come for my little brother and me. However, it didn't count on my grandmother being so strong in her faith and wise in the ways of our ancestors. To this day,
Nice.
I truly think the Skinwalker is still after us. I still get nightmares when I hear whistling in the distance or see dark and strange forms in the trees. But when I do, I just pray and tell them to leave me be, and they go away.
Good. Y'all, oh hell no to that. Could you imagine just being a little kid and experiencing that? Like, and not knowing what it truly was until your grandma was like, oh yeah, that was a skinwalker trying to come in and get you. Yeah, very, very creepy. Well, everyone, what did you think about those 3 skinwalker stories? Let me know in the comments. Have you ever seen a cryptid? Has your friend seen one? Do you have any scary links of videos you would like to share? Send them to me. You can email me, or you can just put it in the comments. And as always, I'd like to give a shout out to all of the members of the channel. Guys, thank you so much for what you do. You really do help this channel more than you know. And guys, don't forget to check out the merch. There's always a sale going on for 20% off your entire purchase when you put in the discount code Wolfpack at the end. And Wolfpack, remember, keep your head up, keep your paws up, stay strong, turn to Jesus, thank God on the daily, no matter what you're going through. And don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Thank you so much for stopping by and giving this video a watch. I will see you in the next. Bye!